Welcome back to New Realities. This is another live program in the update with Doc Wallach. He is an amazing founder of health, nutrition. Give us some updates on your latest discoveries because, Doc, you are a national treasure, and what you've given the public as far as health and nutrition, I think, is invaluable to most people. So what did you discover lately?
Okay, well, the big story, of course, is the pandemic virus.
Right.
We're past our 1 year mark on that. And first of all, hello to all your followers and fans and so forth. I appreciate their interest in hospitality.
Right.
Well, let's just start out. A year and a half ago, Dr. Fauci said, look, this pandemic thing the flu is worse than this. Don't worry about it. We have recordings of him saying that. This is a nothing. Just wear a mask, wash your hands, distance 6 feet, and everything will be fine.
Right.
Well, what have we gotten by following his instructions for over a year? 25 million infections and 424,000 dead. Now, in Arlington Cemetery, which was started after the Civil War, from the Civil War forward till now, we have 400,000 dead military personnel in all the wars we fought in. We have 24,000 more dead in 1 year from this coronavirus thing by just washing our hands, wearing a mask, and staying 6 feet apart. Okay. Now, Merck Sharp and Dohme, the biggest manufacturer of pharmaceuticals in the world, just canceled their 2 vaccinations. They dropped them about 3 days ago now. And I wondered why 4 days ago, President Biden came out and said, well, we're not going to be able to dampen down this spiking of this flu, this pandemic thing right now. There's nothing we can do about it for the next 6 months to a year. So why would he say something like that? Well, then a day later, here comes Merck and saying we just dropped our vaccinations. They didn't hurt anybody, but we couldn't get the vaccinations to give people immunity. Now, all the other vaccination companies are coming out and saying, well, we're working harder now on drugs that are going to fight the virus when people get it, as opposed to getting vaccinations. This is all kind of crazy. What's happening? Well, here's what's happening. What they forgot, Alan, was that there's 4 pieces to vaccinations. They only dealt with the one piece, making the vaccination. The other 3 pieces are more important. And the clue came in over a year ago when the statistics showed that when 3-year-olds would get the pandemic virus, they had common cold-like symptoms for 3 days. Their temperature would go up, their body temperature would go up from 98.6 to 99. You couldn't even class it as a fever. And after 3 days, they had antibodies against the virus and everything was fine.
Right.
Now, when a 63-year-old got it, a 73-year-old got it, an 80-year-old got it, they were in trouble. They'd have to go to the hospital. They're on ventilators for a month or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. If they lived, they would come out and they'd be permanently damaged. So what's the difference between a 63-year-old, a 73-year-old, an 83-year-old, and a 3-year-old? Well, the 3-year-old's only been eating gluten for 3 years. They still have 95% of the villi in their intestines for absorption. They're also still taking vitamins and minerals. But once a kid reaches, they're 6, 7, 8 years old, they're starting to go to school, and mom says, you're eating grown-up food now. You don't need to take any more kiddie vitamins and minerals. So they cannot absorb because the gluten in their bread and spaghetti and Wheaties and oatmeal is killing their villi. Their villi are going away. Now they just have a smooth plastic tube in their intestines instead of a shag rug. They've lost 75, 85, 95% of their absorptive surface. They're not taking any vitamins and minerals, and their bone marrow is dead because they cannot make white blood cells, antibodies, platelets, and red blood cells to protect them. Okay? So that's the problem. That's why I have this problem. And that's why people are getting vaccinations, like these doctors, and then they just, I've got the vaccination now. They're jumping in with all these sick people, and the virus kills them in 2 weeks.
So what's the 4 parts of the whole system?
Okay, the 4 parts are absorption. You got to stay away from gluten so you can absorb.
Right.
That's okay. Then you got to supplement with a 90 to maximize your nutrients necessary.
Wait, when you say 90, let me show people, talk about the 90. This is the Vital Health. This is 90 what, in case people are new.
90 nutrients. That's 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. And they're required by every tissue in your body to do what they're supposed to do, to make new baby cells and fend off bad guys like viruses and so forth. And if you want to live to be 75 to 100, you got to take in the 90 essential nutrients. You got to avoid gluten so you can absorb them. Okay. And then your bone marrow will do what it's supposed to do. Now, Alan, you know people or know of people who have to get a B12 shot and an iron shot every month because they're anemic and they bleed under their skin and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
After a while, they have to start getting a transfusion every other couple of months because they need platelets and red blood cells because they're not responding even to a shot of iron and B12. And then, after 5 or 10 years, the doctor says, your bone marrow is dead now. You're 75 years old. I'm going to give you a bone marrow transplant. And that's because they've been eating gluten all their life. Their intestines are dead. They cannot absorb nutrition to maintain themselves. They cannot absorb nutrition to make their immune system work. And so when the COVID comes, they're dead.
Wow. Awful.
Now,
that is awful.
Let me give you something very interesting here. You've heard of the 5 blue zones, haven't you?
That's where people live the longest in the world.
That's correct.
Okay.
That came out. That Buettner wrote that story in the National Geographic 2005. It was a big cover story. One of my favorites, of course, is Okinawa. Now, Okinawa is almost exactly the same size and population as Hawaii. Both have about the same population, Hawaii and Okinawa. Now, Hawaii is kind of half European because after the Pearl Harbor thing, we moved in there with our soldiers and all this, that, and the other. So we kind of brought our stuff over there. But Hawaii and Okinawa are both Polynesian island things. Okay, Okinawa is an island, a part of Japan, and just like Hawaii is an island part of USA, and they both have the same population, about 140,000. Excuse me, 1,440,000 people. Okay, 1,440,000 people, both of them. Hawaii has 25,000 infected people with the pandemic virus and 342 dead. Okinawa has 5,000 infections and 84 dead. Okay, so what's the difference between Okinawa and Hawaii? Okinawa is still Japanese and they live entirely on rice and sweet potatoes and beans and corn and squash and seaweed. In Hawaii, they eat everything everybody eats in North America. Okay, but they're still doing better than other people. Now let's look at the Ojibwe Indians around the lakes in northern Minnesota versus the Navajo in Arizona. They both have 340,000 people. They both have 340,000 people in their main reservations. The Ojibwe Indians in Minnesota have 27 sick people from the virus and 0 dead. The Navajos have 24,000 sick and 838 dead.
Wow. What is the difference between those two?
Well, the Ojibwe have been eating only wild rice for 400 years. They started eating wild rice 400 years ago, and they've never eaten wheat since.
Wow.
Whereas the Navajos, all they do is eat wheat. Flour tortillas, pan, even Corona beer.
Right. So the thing about eating wheat is it blocks the small intestines, the villi. You can't absorb nutrients.
No, it destroys them. It doesn't block them. They just go away.
Is if you do the essential 90 pack from longevity, can you start to rebuild your small intestine villi?
If you stay away from gluten, if you stay away from wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and eat rice like an Asian, the answer is yes. Okay, but you have to get rid of if you have any wheat left in the house, say, look, I've got a 3-month supply of Wheaties and oatmeal. Give it to your doctor. You ever hear that movie, To Russia with Love? You want to give all your gluten to your doctor, to Doctors with Love, because they're the one that started this.
So wait, stop eating wheat and call this number, 888-275-7755 to get the essential 90. Yes. And
the healthy, you want to get the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack right now, because right now all this pandemic is running around. You want Max, okay? And you got to stay away from all the bad foods.
Right. And it's not just wheat, it's
barley, rye, and oats.
Okay. And also the oils you say something about, is that something different? Okay.
No. You stay away from the bad foods. No fried foods.
Right.
No processed meats. No oils. no gluten, no wheat, brown, rye oats, and no sugar. All those things give to your doctor with love.
Right.
Now, here's where things began to go bad. Up until 1860, the Native Americans were the healthiest people in North America. They were living, doing good, but they were eating what was called the Three Sisters: maize, aka corn, beans, and squash. That's what they ate. And of course, they would hunt and they'd get wild onions and they'd get some acorns and things like that. And they would eat deer and rabbits and squirrels and fish.
And buffalo.
But 1860, the Scottish came to North America in large numbers and introduced the Native Americans to wheat. They began to teach them to make flatbread, which they would deep fry, called bannock. Okay.
Awful, awful.
Okay. So all the other Native Americans in America are eating bannock, this deep fried wheat bread, whereas the Ojibways in northern Minnesota are eating nothing but rice, boiled rice, for 400 years.
Okay, so make the connection. So if you're not eating good, what does that do to your immune system and your susceptibility to the virus?
You're going to die. Okay, that's why they have all these. Wait, no, stop, Alan. You've asked the question. Let me answer it.
Okay, yes.
Okay, now we have a book and a CD called Hell's Kitchen. A kitchen can be a place of hell or heaven, depending on what you're doing there. Right. And if you're eating oatmeal for breakfast and Wheaties for breakfast, you're having spaghetti for dinner and flour tortillas for lunch, and you have bread of all kinds, German bread, English bread, right? And you're drinking wheat and your whiskey and your beer and so forth. Your villi are going away. You now have a plastic tube. You lost 98% of your absorption. And when you get to be 40, 50, 60, 70 years of age, you start getting anemia. You're getting diabetes. You have high blood pressure. You have arthritis. You're going blind. You get ringing in your ears. You got balance problems. You have celiac disease. You have diverticulitis. You have irritable bowel syndrome. You have psoriasis. You have lupus. All these things. Doctors say, well, you got to expect this. You're 75 years old. Well, all of those diseases I just named, Alan, are nutritional deficiencies. They're not autoimmune. They're not genetic. They're all nutritional deficiencies because your villi are now all dead and you're not supplementing. Well, my doctor said I can get everything I need just by eating well. Well, that would be like your mechanic telling you, don't put oil in your car. You're just wasting your money. Put dirt from Texas in there. There's bound to be some oil in that dirt because it's dirt from Texas. Now, an insane person would run away screaming and tell people in the world, don't go to that mechanic. He's telling you to put dirt from Texas in your car. He's a madman. But when your doctor says, just eat well, get everything you need. My doctor says, I can eat well and get everything I need. Bam! You're dead, Alan. You're dead. Right. You cannot. You have to get rid of the wheat, barley, rye, and oats, get rid of the fried foods and the sugar, and get on your 90 essential nutrients, get on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. And then, of course, we have secret sauces for 900 different diseases. You have diabetes, you add this one. You have arthritis, you add this one. Okay, you have memory problems, you add this one, and so on.
Right.
But there's people who have 6, 8, 10, 12 different diseases. They're going to be on 6 or 8 or 10 different secret sauces. They say, I can't afford that. Well, let's pick the ones that are the most damaging, the most limiting. Let's take 2 or 3 of those and get rid of those. And then you cut those in half and bring on the other ones. And you're going to get a lot of those nutrients in the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, our big hammer in our toolbox. And so a lot of those other issues are going to get better even before you get the secret sauces for them. Okay.
So how long would it take to rebuild your villi if you stopped eating gluten, stopped the fried sugar, and did the Healthy Start Pack? How long would it take?
Okay. Now, if you do everything right, I'm going to give you some examples, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Let's look at dialysis. You know, people take dialysis when their kidneys aren't working and blah, blah, blah. I get people, Alan, they come to me, they have not peed, they have not urinated in 10 years. Now, you listen to that. They have not urinated in 10 years. They're getting dialysis 6 days a week for 10 years. They were on dialysis for 20 years before that, 3 days a week, because they didn't want to get a kidney transplant. Okay. So I put them on our program for people with kidney issues, okay, which is our basic program, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, plus the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets to get rid of all the bad foods. And in 2 weeks' time, they're urinating again. So they drop them down from dialysis 6 days a week to 3 days a week. And then in 2 more weeks, they're totally off of dialysis after 25 years of being on dialysis.
Wow, that is great. So
we do this thousands of times a month all over the world.
This is so important for people to hear this because you're
okay, here's another one. I'll give you another one. This one will make you cry. You ever
Okay.
hear of Elijah Cummings? You're an East Coast guy. Did you ever hear of Elijah
Yeah,
Cummings?
yeah. He was the representative. Was it South Carolina?
No, no.
Where was he?
Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland.
Maryland, Maryland. Okay. Yes, yes,
Now
yes.
you said was. What happened to him? Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, he died last year. I think
No, he was murdered. He was killed.
he was killed. That's
Yes, the
serious.
doctors killed him. He had what's called Afib, which is caused by osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, causes your heart to do weird things. They convinced him that this is a heart problem. So Elijah Cummings goes into Johns Hopkins. They anesthetize him, cut his chest open, take a hot soldering iron, touch his heart all over, trying to kill the part of the heart that's running amok. They kill him on the surgery table. Now, if he'd have come to me in 3 weeks' time, he'd have been perfectly normal. Because when you have AFib, it is not a heart problem. It's osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, which controls the rate and rhythm of your heart.
I see. All in your head. Okay. Yeah. That's one of your,
That's the newest books.
yeah, yeah. So they actually,
They murdered him.
is it because they're just ignorant of what you're saying of health?
That's correct. They were taught that AFib is caused by a heart problem. No, it's osteoporosis of the skull. How many doctors have told you, or how many people have you run into who said, my doctor says I have osteoporosis of the skull? That's why I have tinnitus. I have ringing in the ears because it's squeezing my 8th cranial nerve. I'm dizzy because it's squeezing the vestibular branch of my 8th cranial nerve. I have Bell's palsy and my facial nerve is being squeezed. I have trigeminal neuralgia. My 5th cranial nerve is squeezed. I have ONA, optic nerve atrophy. My 2nd cranial nerve is being squeezed, and that's why I'm going blind.
So osteoporosis and all that is due to
Nutritional deficiencies
because the villi is not
are
absorbing
dead,
nutrients.
and you're not supplementing because your doctor says you can get everything you need just by eating well.
So supplementation, and you give a great example of why that started when Con Ed flipped their switch. You want to go
That's
into
correct.
that? So you want to
Yeah.
just tell people that, because I think that's an important background to why people aren't getting the nutrients they need.
Okay, well, that's in the book in the CD called Hell's Kitchen. Goes into the story. That was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street in New York City, in the bluff overlooking the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. Thomas Edison and Jonathan Leibs pulled the switch on the first commercial electric generating plant. Remember, this is 1882. Okay, by 1918, suddenly now we had the Spanish flu. Okay, 657,000 Americans died in 1 year from the Spanish flu.
Wow.
195,000 died in 1 month, October of 1918, from the Spanish flu. And then 2003 and 2005, we had MERS, SARS, H1N1, and COVID-2, the next round of, the pandemic.
Right.
And now we have the new pandemic. And guess what? If you think this one's bad, if people don't listen to me, the next one will be 10 times worse than this one.
So listening to
worse
you
and
means
worse.
stop your gluten intake, number one.
Yes, and here's two things. Now, don't worry about it. Farmers can feed all this wheat, brown, and rye and oats to their animals, so it's not like it's going to go to waste and farmers are going to starve to death. Don't worry about that. People say, "Well, what about the poor farmers?" Okay, believe me, they'll find a use for the wheat, brown, and rye and oats, but don't you eat any.
But
Then
getting
you
back
need to supplement. You must supplement. You must supplement.
Finish the Edison story. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what was the thing that Edison did when he flipped that switch?
Okay, well, people stopped using wood for fuel, and people have been using wood stoves since the beginning of time, and in fireplaces and fire pits. And they would take the wood ashes and put them in their garden. And wood ashes are not carbon; they're 95% minerals that the tree sucked up out of the ground. And every rich person, poor person, middle class person, every country in the world for tens of thousands of years had been getting mineral supplements by putting wood ashes in their food and their gardens. Well, when we went to electricity, all that disappeared overnight.
So
Suddenly now nobody's taking
we lost all those minerals.
That's correct. And the whole story again is in the CD, which came out in the CD came out in 2003. The book came out in 2005, and it tells the story step by step. It will weep and cry. Okay, amazing. Don't supplement and use electricity.
That's what destroyed our health.
That's correct.
And the people in the blue zones that live for a long, long time, what do they have that we don't have?
Two things. Number one, they eat rice instead of wheat, butter, and oats. No gluten.
Mm-hmm.
They eat a lot of seafood, particularly seaweed and algae and stuff like that. And then you look here in North America, the Ojibwe Indians, they've been living on rice for 400 years. Now, in 1600, the Ojibwe Indians, which are sort of a band of the Cherokee Indians, they fled from Florida because they were tired of all the tornadoes and hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. And they're moving west, and they hit northern Michigan. No, so let me back up. Northern Minnesota. They hit northern Minnesota in the spring of 1600. And all the wild rice was blooming. They didn't have any money to buy land, so they're living all around the shores of all these lakes, and they're eating all this wild rice. Mm-hmm. They've been doing that every day for 400 years, Alan.
Amazing, amazing. And they're a blue zone.
They're in a blue zone, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, they're not part of the original 5, but they're in a blue zone because they only have, let's see here, zero dead, and they have 27 infections. The Navajo Indians with the same population who live on wheat, barley, rye, oats, and flour tortillas, and pan, and beer, and cerveza, and all Corona beer of all things, okay? They have 24,000 infections and 838 dead, same population.
Amazing.
Versus 0 dead and 27 infections, okay? Wow. Now, it's not a genetic thing. Now, all the races, the black people, the indigenous Indians, and the Latinos are saying, look, this is a genetic thing. We're just plagued with this. No, that's not true. Mm-hmm. It's the diet. Now, I'm going to give you a new one. This just came out yesterday. This was just published yesterday, Alan.
Great. Thank you for sharing it. Yeah.
1,600 kids under the age of 10 died with what they call MIS-C, multi-inflammatory syndrome-children, okay? MIS-C. 1,600 died within a couple of weeks of each other. And they're talking about disease of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, muscles, bones, brain. Every part of their body is breaking down. In gastrointestinal system, their skin, everything is just dying. 1,600 of them.
And what
now,
happened?
Here's the secret.
Yeah, what is the secret?
Here's the giveaway. Here's the giveaway. 75% of those 1,600 kids were Latino.
Okay.
Flour tortillas, spaghetti, bread.
What? That is a
oatmeal
basic...
for breakfast. Gluten and no supplementation. Gluten and no supplementation.
So supplementation, because of Edison, is key to maintaining health.
Well, let's see here. What's key to maintaining your car? Oil, grease, air filters, coolant. Okay, right. Same thing with us. Now, the Garden of Eden didn't have wheat in it. It had only fruit. And those people lived to be 300 years, 500 years, 700 years. Methuselah lived to be 969. Mm-hmm. When you look at these blue zones, and again, when you look at Okinawa and Hawaii, Okinawa is one of the 5 original blue zones. They both have the same population, 1.45 million people. Okay, the Okinawa has 5,756 infections and 84 dead, and Hawaii has 25,342 dead. Okay, well, Okinawa is much better than Hawaii because Hawaii was introduced to all these Western foods because of our military being over there. They're part of the United States. Now, I guarantee you most of them are eating oatmeal for breakfast, whereas the people in Okinawa are eating rice and seaweed for breakfast.
So, no, I get that. I think it's important. What do you think about taking the vaccine anyway with all the other things you're doing, or is our body strong enough maybe that we don't need it? And will this thing eventually go away with herd immunity?
Okay. Now, you've asked me 6 questions. I'll try and do them in the right order.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's go back and say, okay, remember, there's 4 requirements for your immune system. Merck stopped making the vaccine because it doesn't work in people who are dying from the pandemic.
Right.
It works in kids. And I said this, 2 years ago when people started saying, we're getting this pandemic here. What about, should I get a vaccination? I said, that's up to you. I guarantee you they're testing it and testing it and testing it. The vaccine is not going to kill anybody. The vaccine's not going to. So if you choose to take it, take it. God bless you. If you choose not to take it, God bless you. But why are people dying of the pandemic, whether they're vaccinated or not? Well, because they're eating wheat and their villi are dead. They cannot absorb nutrients.
Right.
They believe falsely because their doctor said you can get everything you need just by eating well. They're not supplementing. And so their bone marrow is dying, and your bone marrow is your immune system. You cannot make white blood cells, T lymphocytes to go through your bloodstream and kill and eat the virus. You can't make stem cells to make antibodies to go through the bloodstream and kill the virus. You can't make red blood cells and platelets to keep you from bleeding to death. 95% of the people who die of the pandemic do not die from respiratory viral infections. They die from hemorrhaging.
I see.
Because their bone marrow is dead, because they've been eating gluten for 25, 30, 40, 50 years and not supplementing.
Right. Wow, that is valuable information. So that
again, I said this 1,000 times a month since then because people asked me about the vaccinations. I said, get it or don't get it. That doesn't matter. But get off of gluten, take your 90 essential nutrients, and you'll live.
Great. No, that is great. I think you have any more new news? Because Carolyn Clancy has some questions from individual people that she works with and things that we can't normally find online. So Carolyn's been part of this program since the beginning. I know we had.
Okay, well, let me give you one piece of information here.
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I get this right. Okay. When you look at people who, die of the pandemic, okay, under 1 year of age, you got like 30 of them under 1 year of age. The other 25 million are primarily over 30.
Right.
Okay. Right. Now, the things that I think there's like 50 kids under the age of 3 that have died that they blamed on the pandemic.
Right.
Now, there's 3,000 kids under the age of 3 that die every year in America from murder and fires.
Right.
They're not worried about the 3,000 kids that are killed by murder. Oh, the 3 that died of the pandemic. They didn't die of the pandemic.
Right.
They had pre-existing conditions. They had asthma. They had irritable bowel syndrome because they were eating oatmeal for breakfast.
Well, I wanted to say, you're not just talking about this because you think it's a good idea. You've done thousands of autopsies. You want to give them a little background about yourself so people know you're not just making it up.
Blabbermouth. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm a little bit different, Alan. Right. I do have a degree in agriculture. My major was in animal husbandry and nutrition. My minor was in field crops and soils. I have a degree in veterinary medicine. I have a postdoctoral fellowship in pathology. It was a $25 million grant from NIH, Washington University in St. Louis. Marlon Perkins and I did the thing together, from the old Mutual Omaha Kingdom thing. And he actually recalled me when we got the grant. He recalled me from Africa. I was working on the White Rhino Conservation Project. My book, Rhino Express, tells how I saved the white rhino. I caught 200 of them, shipped them here. So if you see a white rhino in a park or a zoo, it's either one that I caught or offsprings are the ones that I caught. I'm very proud of that. But when he got that grant, he called me back. He says, you got to be the pathologist on this project. And I did 20,000 autopsies, Alan, in 10 years. My thesis represented 20,000 autopsies. It's in the Smithsonian Institute as National Treasure because I demonstrated very clearly there were no genetically transmitted diseases. There were no genetically transmitted birth defects. They're all caused by nutritional deficiencies of the embryo. I reverse Down syndrome in very famous people. Okay. Now let me tell you one more piece here. This is the scary part. I'm the guy who eliminated cystic fibrosis, thought to be a genetic disease in kids. I'm the guy who found the cause, prevention, and cure of muscular dystrophy, gave it to Jerry Lewis in 2011. He went and talked to their doctors. He went and talked to the patients, and he was so excited. He took 15 of these charts and he took them to the Muscular Dystrophy Association in 2011. They fired Jerry Lewis before he even walked out of the door because he brought him the cure. 2015, they had to shut down the telethon because they couldn't raise a penny without Jerry Lewis. And then Dr. Milan and I went to China. We did 1,700 autopsies on kids under the age of 10 in Qishan province. They were dying of a heart attack called Qishan disease, a deficiency of a single nutrient. And I figured out that sudden death syndrome was actually caused by that heart attack. So when we did those 1,700 autopsies, 35% had cystic fibrosis, 100% had muscular dystrophy, and 200 of them under the age of 1 year of age would have been diagnosed in America as sudden death syndrome. We sued the FDA and the National Institutes of Health in a federal court, and they ruled in our favor. You can't go against 1,700 autopsies. So the federal judges, ruled, let's see here, April 16th, 2013, that this nutrient must be put into baby formulas, Enfamil, Similac, and all those things. And a year and a half later, September 13, 2014, big headlines in the Charlotte Observer, big newspaper like New York Times for New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, big headlines. I mean, like Third World War, big, bold stuff, nothing else on the front page. We don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of North Carolina. 3 months later, St. Louis Post-Dispatch and all the newspapers in Missouri, we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome has vanished in the state of Missouri. Then 3 months later, every newspaper in the world came out and said, we don't know why, but sudden death syndrome diagnoses has dropped dramatically by 85 to 95%. Because I forced them to put that nutrient in the baby formula. It was actually just a heart attack of babies. Only 2% of the babies were in bed with their mothers when they died. I was the one that forced them to change the name to crib death because 98% were dying in the crib, not in the bed with their mothers.
But it's all from a nutritional deficiency in the children. That's
correct.
And the mother as well, because
that's correct.
I see. Wow, this is revolutionary, and I'll just put that screenshot up. And
now let me give you another piece here. Now I went back to school and became a physician.
Right.
I've been a licensed physician since 1982 as a naturopathic physician in Oregon. I'm also a naturopathic physician in California. I'm being licensed as we speak to be a naturopathic physician in Arizona. Why do I want to be in Arizona? Because 46% of the Pima Indians in Arizona have type 2 diabetes. 4% of the Pima Indians in Mexico have type 2 diabetes. So you know it's not genetic. They're the same genes, the Pima Indians in Mexico and Arizona. So why does Arizona have 46% diabetes and only 4% in Mexico have type 2 diabetes? Because of nutritional deficiencies, and what they're eating in Arizona is different from what they're eating in Mexico. The ones in Mexico are eating rice and seaweed, and the ones in Arizona are eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats.
So you discovered in those autopsies that it was a lot of those early deaths were nutritional deficiencies in animals as well as humans.
All vertebrates. Now, here's the deal. My thesis started out at 5,000 pages of 20,000 autopsies. W.B. Saunders, you may remember the name, it was a publishing company, the biggest publishing house in the world. They edited it down with their editors, so they didn't change any of the meanings, but they edited it down from 5,000 pages to 1,200 pages. They published 30,000 copies in 1983. They sold them in 3 months, every one of them. Well, now, $25,000 each. Now, you can go to Amazon now or Siri and ask for my thesis, which is called The Diseases of Exotic Animals. 1,200 pages, W.B. Saunders, 1983. They republished it again. They sold them all again in 6 months for $25,000 each. You can get them beat up. The cover's ripped off and the dog has peed on them for $4,500. If you get them in good condition, they sell for $8,000. If they're in excellent condition and from a library, they sell for $8,000 to $12,000 to $15,000, $20,000. If you get them new in the box, still in the wrapper, never been opened, $25,000 to $35,000 still each.
Wow. Well, maybe we should publish that. I want to get to Caroline before you.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, we only have a few more minutes. Yeah,
I know. Sorry, Caroline. So ask.
We got 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, Doc. This lady is 70. She weighs 200. She has diabetes, gangrene toe, kidney failure, and heart stents.
Okay, so she got coronary artery disease. Okay, she's got diabetes. She's got toe problems. And she's how old?
She is 70. And then the
Okay.
kidney failure.
Oh, kidney failure. Is she on dialysis?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Yeah, well, that goes, does she have high blood pressure, do you know?
I believe so, yes. She didn't
Okay.
answer that, but I
Okay,
believe
does she
so.
have gray, white, or silver hair?
Yes.
Okay, does she have varicose veins?
No.
Okay, let's see here. The only thing I don't have, you probably gave it to me, but what's her weight?
She is 200.
Okay. A lady, you know, her age, 70 years old, should weigh about 130, maybe 70 pounds overweight. I want her to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bread, rhinos, no sugar. Everybody in the household, dog, cat, bird, fish, caregiver, spouse, kids, grandkids, brothers and sisters, everybody has got to be drop dead gluten-free in the household. No cross-contamination in the laundry, the food preparation surfaces, the beds, the couches, the rugs. And then at 200 pounds, I want her to have 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. For her diabetes, I want her to take 3 of our ultimate sweeties, take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. And don't cold turkey off her medication, but take her blood sugar. And as her blood sugar slowly drops, she can reduce her medication based on the numbers. It won't take but a couple of weeks to a month to get off her medication. She'll be an ex-diabetic. It's not genetic. She also needs the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Take 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. That'll support healthy blood pressure. And her kidney disease will go away. Almost always the blood pressure thing and the blocked arteries in her heart contribute to the kidney issues. Usually the kidney's okay, but the arteries are blocked in the kidneys, and the kidney releases a hormone called renin, which drives your blood pressure up. All this will go away. All her problems will go away. Now, the gangrene on her toes, she needs to use our colloidal silver. There's no alcohol in it. She can put it right on her toes, but also she needs to put a dropper full twice, 2 droppers full down her throat, a half hour before breakfast, half hour before lunch, half hour before dinner, and a half hour before bed. And then she uses our hand sanitizer, all kinds of stuff. All of her problems will go away.
Love it. Sounds good. I'll be speaking with her later this afternoon.
Yeah, she'll be a good one. She'll be a good one. So, you know, to give a testimony, because people her age have all these multiples of problems. If she gets the pandemic virus, she'll be in trouble when you have all these things, because her bone marrow, I guarantee her bone marrow is not working very well.
And that was the concern for the call. Her friend called for her because they're concerned she's going to die soon. They want to take her off.
She will if she doesn't do what I tell her.
All righty.
All right.
The next lady is 61, 140 pounds. She called for vanity reasons about colon cleansing and reducing the size of her stomach. She has glaucoma. She has bruising issues. And that's all she mentioned.
Okay. So she's got bleeding under her skin. She's bruising. That means her bone marrow is dead. She's not making enough platelets and red blood cells. Okay. You say she's 61. She's got glaucoma. Now, does she really have glaucoma, or does she have osteoporosis of the skull?
No, this is the interesting thing. I asked her about the ringing in the ears. I said, "Are you sure it's not what was that?
Osteoporosis, ONA, optic nerve atrophy."
Yes. I asked her if she thought it was that. Well, she's now not sure, of course. So, but the doctor had told her the glaucoma.
Yeah, well, doctors don't know anything.
Yes.
Okay, so she needs at 140 pounds. She needs to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bread, or oats. She needs to take 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, a full dose of everything twice a day. I want her to take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. That's going to help support healthy blood pressure and healthy blood flow through blood vessels, arteries, even in the eyes. I want her also to have the MSM. I want her to get 1 bottle of MSM so she can take 3 of those twice a day. She needs to take our collagen. We have 3 or 4 different types of collagen. You can take the liquids, an ounce twice a day, 2 quarts a month, or take 5 capsules twice a day, 2 bottles a month of our glucogel. Vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. And again, at her age and everything going on, she needs to take something to support her immune system. And so I would throw in the Cell Shield RTQ. She could take 3 of those twice a day. The Fucoid Z, 3 of those twice a day. And I would also have her take the Ocean's Gold, 3 of those twice a day. That'll cover all the bases. And she'll be a new woman very quickly.
Wow, love it. Okay. And let's see here.
And we got time for one more.
Yes. This gentleman is 85, 190. He has neuropathy. He has low thyroid, celiac, bone and joint issues between ringing in the ears and knee issues, and colitis. So the colitis, the celiac, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did he have any diabetes or high blood pressure?
Not that he admits to.
Okay. Well, 190 pounds. He's got tinnitus, ringing in the ears. He's got joint problems, neuropathy, which is usually degenerative disc disease. The vertebrae are squeezing the sciatic nerves in his lower back. His skull could also be squeezing his spinal cord. Most people don't realize this, including doctors, that your spinal cord is formed in your brain, comes out the back of your skull. You get osteoporosis of the skull, that foramen magnum, which is Latin for big hole, gets half the size and starts squeezing your spinal cord, and you get numbness and tingling in your hands. Doctors, oh, you have carpal tunnel syndrome, we'll do operation on you. It was actually the skull squeezing the spinal cord. Okay, so this guy needs to get rid of all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, bran, rye, and oats. He needs to take 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so he can take 3 with each meal of the MSM to help support maintenance, repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone, makeshift bone itself. He also needs to take the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. I would have him take 3 of those 3 times a day. That'll be 3 bottles a month of the Ultimate Daily tablets. And that's going to help him with blood pressure, blood flow through blocked arteries, all that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, he needs some more collagen. So I do want him to take some of our glucogel, either the liquid or the capsules. Don't forget the MSM. He needs 3 of those 3 times a day. It'll be 2 bottles a month of that. And all those things will go away. If he has pain and numbness and tingling, he can use our CM cream and trauma oil. We also have a Hemp FX Soothe made from CBD oils. There's no THC in it, so it's legal in all states. And all his problems will go away, even at 85 years old. I've dealt with people who are 105 years old that have all the same problems. And if they get the pandemic virus, they're dead, right? They have so many problems. Their bone marrow's dead. But these people, even at 85, he will recover very quickly, but he's got to stay on the diet and stay on the supplements. You can't, okay, I'm okay, now I can go back to my old ways. No, you go back to your old ways and 3 months later, you'll be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the colitis, celiac.
That's gluten. It's not gluten.
Would nightly essence help him?
It cannot help that. If he's constipated, okay, instead of diarrhea, if he's constipated, then he needs herbal rainforest. Is what he needs. Herbal rainforest. It has 13 cleansing herbs in it and 78 minerals in it, right? And then for energy, use the Rebound or sports drink with 100 nutrients in it. Don't drink colas and that kind of stuff.
Okay, I love it.
And everything Doc has mentioned, if you call this number 888-275-7755, you can order it, you can get more information. Doc formulated all these things for longevity. And longevity is where he put all his research. So that is what we're so happy to be receiving today. This news. Doc has to go, right?
I have to go, but thank you so much, Alan. Oh, thank you, guys.
We'll do it in 2 weeks. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. Okay.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, thank you, dear.
All right.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Wait,
love you,
Carolyn. Stay on. I just want to see. Thanks, Doc, so much for all the information.
Got to run.
Carolyn, you've been working with longevity. Can you just tell me some of the benefits you've seen people gain from the products that they've been taking and some of the information Doc has been sharing?
Yes, and I'll start with myself. What brought me to longevity is I had severe knee pain and I could only walk sideways. So A neighbor saw me, gave me a cane, and that was the wake-up call. I said that that's not gonna be me. I called up the company. I got what was recommended for me. I don't ask for guarantees. And in less than a month, I was walking normal, running and jumping, no knee pain, back modern dancing with people in their teens and 20s.
Well,
And
what was the product that they gave you?
I got the bone and joint pack. I got
Mm.
the enzymes and extra glucogel capsules for how much I weigh to have the correct dosing.
Mhm.
And then I also addressed the hypothyroid I had for 35 years. I was taking 3 different thyroid medications, T3, T4, and bioidentical hormone cream. And I got on the Ocean's Gold, and my labs prove it. Everything's great. I take the Ocean's Gold. And so more recently, I've been doing for Vanity the anti-aging. And the
What's in
great,
the anti-aging? Do you know
oh
what's?
gee, there's many products I'm choosing to incorporate for the anti-aging. The only cream I use on my face is the Trinity lotion.
I have to say, your
And
skin looks very good. It
I
does.
use the Trinity lotion. That's
Okay.
the only cream I use.
Mhm.
And I also take the package of Restore. I take the HGH Youth Complex.
Let me just show.
There are many things. And also, I was fortunate enough to use the weight loss products of Rev and ASAP.
Mhm.
And so I work with people and they're getting similar results. People are getting off dialysis and their vision is being restored. And, you know, I let people know it takes compliance. You
What does
can
that
buy all
mean?
these, and if you don't take them,
Right.
I've
It
had that
doesn't.
happen with people.
Right.
So, yes, many successes, many successes.
Mhm. So
In even a couple days, people call me up and am I supposed to feel this good this fast? And then it turns out they didn't even tell me everything that was wrong. And their dog got healthier too because the dog was eating the same junk. And so
Mhm.
now this young man in his 40s could walk to the mailbox without, you know, having to stop out of breath, where before just going to the bathroom a couple of doors away was upsetting him in with the asthma and everything. So I love when people give me these calls back. I mean, in days, because the sicker you are, the quicker you get results with these products. That's
Great.
one of
Well, no, I think it's great. So when I'm going to post that, so when people call this number, what should they ask for? What kind of response? These are just consultants. No one has to buy anything. So
right.
you're so tell me what happens when you call this number.
What happens when people call the number?
Mhm,
I ask them questions. I
mhm,
first ask them why, what are the health concerns they're calling about? Then I have a number of questions that I ask to dial it in and get real specific.
mhm.
Then I give them the recommendations of the products, the pricing, the dosing, and they decide where they want to get started. Some people want to start with everything. Some people would rather take longer because it's not that critical of a health concern. So it varies. And
Mhm.
then the products get shipped in 7 to 10 business days, and I follow it up with an email with what we spoke about. So they'll have something in writing to refer to. And then they either call me, email me, or I call them within a couple weeks
Mhm.
and see how things are going and see what might need to be changed or any concerns. I also call because I want the good news.
Okay, and what percentage do you feel are helped by the people taking the products?
Everyone I know is helped, every
Oh,
single
really?
person, even if it's a little bit because they're healthier. The
Mhm.
people that have the most compromised systems and a lot of concerns that could lose their life as a result of this
Mhm.
pandemic, those are the people that get really fast, quick results because they are very unhealthy.
Right. So that is amazing that everyone really is helped. And of course, you have to take the product. You just can't let it sit on the shelf. That's
Exactly.
the key. So,
And in the dosing for how much they weigh. It's all about dosing for the
oh,
health concern and how much you weigh. Those are meshed together.
so you have to take more, of course, if you weigh more, right?
Yes, and depending on the health concern, you heard about his recommendations. You heard those weights today.
Mhm.
He's doubling up and tripling up on some things depending on what the health concern is.
So if you're not feeling that bad, but you just want to feel better, you would recommend a healthy start pack, right?
At least the Healthy Start Pack and enzymes, at least.
Oh, what's the enzyme product called?
The enzymes, it's called Ultimate Enzymes, and Doc calls it his gallbladder in a bottle. With or
Oh,
without a gallbladder over the age of 40, we need to add enzymes because, again, we are what we absorb, not what we eat.
and what does the gallbladder do to help absorb? They break down fats, right?
Break down fats, really, it's a critical organ. It's so sad when many people have had it removed. But I'll tell you, it's turned around a lot of things for me with enzymes, which I never took before. I thought, in fact, I told Robin, I said, I can I can masticate concrete and absorb it if I just chew it fine enough, fine enough. I was
Mm-hmm.
convinced of that because I had a strong gut constitution,
Right.
you know, I thought, and it was miraculously improved by adding the enzymes to my regime.
Okay, so that wasn't true though, you're saying, because I mean, you had a strong gut, but it got even stronger.
Yes, yes, I was mistaken. I
Oh,
needed to learn by taking the supplements that I wasn't getting the maximum absorption and results.
well, what's the now that you've taken the enzymes, what's the difference you feel in your own personal experience? What happened that was different?
It's reflected in my circulation, my absorption, my digestion, my bowel movements, the operation of my colon. It's dialed things in.
Like
More energy.
every day, more energy. Every day you see a new change that's happening there.
Not every day. I'm
But
I'm pretty much balanced out now. I mean, in the beginning, of course, I saw tremendous changes and improvements, and that's why I continued.
mm. And how long have you been doing the products for?
I've been doing the products about 6 or 8 years now, something like
Oh,
that.
really? Well, you're really passionate about it because, and you're helping a lot of people who call that number. You're one of the people that they can talk to online, right?
Yes.
Great. No, thank you for, I'll give that number one more time here. And they can also go to the Longevity website, of course.
Yes.
And Doc, and we're really fortunate to have had Doc on the phone because he's the one who put the whole program together with his years of experience. And of course, he doesn't take any money from doing that. You know, he's just started the company and it's off and running on its own. But
Right. And he makes his money off of the tools, the books and tapes that are
mhm.
available to everyone, and those of us who are building a business also.
Right, but he really makes his money lecturing about health and nutrition around the world. I mean, and the books, of course, yes. And the company is just a separate thing that he started, but it's running on its own. Well, thank you, Caroline. Let's do this again in 2 weeks,
Yes.
okay? And get some more questions. I'm sorry you jumped in a
Okay.
little late. Doc had a lot to.
We
What? What? Say that again. I lost you. You said what? What did you say,
thank
Carolyn?
you.
Oh,
I said thank you, and I'll see you in two weeks. I'll see
two
you in
weeks.
2 weeks. Thank you.
That would be what would that be? February 10th, okay? Same
Sounds
time.
good.
And people
All
online
right.
listening, tune in. Thank you so much for being here, Carolyn. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.